Hello, everyone. Thank you for listening to another episode of Dan Tony Sports. My name is Dan Snyder, joined tonight by Dan Beebe, Tony Casper. Dan O'Shea is doing his civic duty voting, and he'll be in a little bit. But we got a great show tonight. Football is back in all capacities.
Finally.
We've got Canadian football, we've got college football, we've got the NFL, so there's something every night to watch.
I care about 2 out of 3 of those for the most part, but football's football. So
listen, when Arena's on, I watch Arena. Football is football.
I can't remember the last time I watched Arena. That was epic.
Oh, I love Arena football. But I do just want to read this pigskin poem because it's going to talk about football, if you hadn't guessed.
Yeah.
So, without further ado, is it just me, or did week 1 suck? The Colts were helpless without Andrew Luck, and the Texans could do nothing at all. The New York Giants couldn't move the ball. Penalties galore. Personal foul, roughing the passer, ejections, and more. Did Lane throw that punch? Because I didn't see. It looked like Adams was the one wrong to me. The Jets were the Jets, so no news there. Eric Berry went down with an Achilles tear. The Bengals looked awful. My God, were they bad. They had a worse day than the 49ers had. We'll finish with Palmer. His career looks done. Week 2 has got to be better than week number 1.
Let's hope, at least.
Oh my God. Is it just me, or was this like an awful week? A lot of horrible football.
Well, they did say that this was actually a lower scoring week than we've had in years past. So, I mean, there was that. We were also 1 game shy, because of the hurricane.
One of the better matchups.
It was a better matchup. Would have been interesting to see. I mean, would have been better matchup if, we had Tannehill instead of Dalton. Or not Dalton, but...
we'll talk about...
Same difference at this point, the way he played this Sunday.
Yeah, I don't know. Cutler.
But... There was a lot of sloppy play this Sunday. A lot of sloppy play.
Absolutely, and we're going to get into that. But first, we're going to lead off, because this show is entirely about football.
All right.
We're going to lead off with college football. First thing I want to do is run down the updated top 25. It's not... I don't agree with a lot of this list. I really don't. But they have number 1, Alabama, number 2, Oklahoma, number 3, Clemson, number 4, USC, number 5, Penn State, number 6, Washington, number 7, Michigan, number 8, Ohio State, number 9, Oklahoma State, 10, Wisconsin, Florida State, 11, LSU, 12, Georgia, 13, Louisville, 14, Auburn, 15, Virginia Tech, 16, Miami, 17, Kansas State 18, Stanford 19, TCU 20, Washington State at 21, South Florida at 22, Tennessee at 23, Florida at 24, and UCLA at 25. So obviously the biggest difference is the jump for Oklahoma and the fall for Ohio State, which we're going to get into that game. And Tony, I know that you as an Ohio State fan had to have been frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to hear a couple of things from you. First of all, are we ready to admit, not because I've been saying it this whole time, but no one's been listening to me, that losing Eli Apple in 2016 and then now losing Gary and Conley, Malik Hooker, and who was the other?
Marcus Lattimore.
Yeah, Marcus Lattimore is a bigger deal than everyone thought. That secondary is
it's a replacement
terrible
secondary, and this is a secondary full of kids that they're high ranked, but they're high ranked coming out of high school. But that doesn't mean that you can just jump in and play in a big spot early in the year and be ready to go to take over people who went first couple rounds in the draft. There was no doubt that there was going to be difficulties. It's just it got exposed quickly. But it was obviously evident when you went up against a top-tier quarterback. And that's exactly what happened with Baker Mayfield. He was able to pick it apart because they were young, inexperienced, and not ready to go up against that level of talent.
Not only were they young and inexperienced, how tired did they look?
Well,
they looked very tired.
That's also on the offense. When the offense can't string together decent drives and has trouble moving the ball and has to punt, and you go on a fast-paced offense that goes off the field fast, how much time do you really expect these kids to recruit? When they have to go back out there and go on a team that elongates drives, can dink and dunk their way down to where they need to be and then score. I mean, they were on the field longer than the offense was, and they were the offense wasn't helping them by trying to stay on the field.
Yeah, and that brings me to two other points that I've been saying as to why I had Penn State ahead of Ohio State to begin. Curtis Samuel. The loss of Curtis Samuel is proving to be huge right now. It took forever for their running backs to pick it up against what can only be described as a below average at best Indiana team. I mean, don't get me wrong.
No,
their wide receiver is
Indiana's,
elite.
Indiana's not below average. They are who Indiana is. They're always below average. They're never really a good football team. So that I can attribute in that game to bad, just not correcting the play calling. And this is where Urban Myers, I feel like, outsmarts himself sometimes. He has so much talent, but he's insistent. And he did this the second year after the title with not using Ezekiel Elliott. He's insistent on making his quarterbacks go through the offense. And he insists upon it so much that by the time he wants to establish the running game, it's too little too late.
Right. And then my next question, these first two games, knowing that he is expected to be better than Indiana and that he's expected to be competitive with Oklahoma, did these two games just completely kill any JT Barrett Heisman talk? Because I think it did.
Probably, but JT Barrett never should have been a Heisman consideration. JT Barrett's not a good enough quarterback to play in the NFL. And I've been saying that since last year. He's never going to make it to the NFL. He'll make it to the NFL maybe if he Terrell Pryors himself or Braxton Millers and tries to actually convert to something that's more athletic based. Maybe he could play running back, but he's not a quarterback. And he's a quarterback because it fits Urban Meyer's system, but that doesn't translate in the NFL. And it shouldn't be in consideration for a Heisman hopeful, especially when you have performances like this, which are subpar to below average.
Right. With his size, honestly, I think the best thing for him to do would be to bulk up a little bit, put on a little more muscle, and convert to tight end if he wants to play in the NFL.
We don't know if he's even capable of blocking anybody. So,
well,
maybe converting to a receiver specialist type might be his best route.
Right. I mean, he's talented, very athletic.
He's athletic, yeah, but quarterback, not in the NFL. No two ways about it. It's just not. It's not going to happen. And you don't need any further proof than the quarterbacks that have come out. I mean, the only one that I can think of still playing quarterback right now is Cordell Jones, and he's backing up in L.A. somewhere.
I was about to say San Diego. That don't exist.
Yeah, no, that doesn't exist. But, the refs made that mistake on Sunday, too, so.
All right, and one last question before I want you to just speak your entire piece about Ohio State. Not just this game, the first weekend where you project and all that. Did you, as an Ohio State fan, feel disrespected by Baker Mayfield grabbing the Oklahoma flag, running around, and planting it in the middle of the O on the 50-yard line? Or did you feel it was like a to the victor comes the spoils, which the mentality has been pretty split. It's either it was really disrespectful or that if you don't want them to do it, don't let them win.
No, I subscribe to the first part. It is disrespectful. You don't go into somebody's house and you do that. You want Victor to be the spoil? Do that when you win the national title. You want to have a party, blow out the entire arena, plant the flag in every part of the field? I don't care if you win the national title, because that means you're the best team in the league. but you don't do it on somebody's field. And secondly, you don't get to bitch about Ohio State singing their fight song in the corner of your end zone in front of the student section after they win and then pull some jackass move like that. That shows the maturity of Baker Mayfield. He has the talent, but he needs to grow the F up. Period.
I completely disagree.
Don't even start. What about the star nonsense when that happened in Dallas?
No, well, I don't disagree with that. I thought it was funny that T.O. got jacked up, but if last year when Pitt beat Penn State, if Pitt had, gathered on the 50-yard line and was did whatever, I don't know, human centipede, whatever they wanted to do, I'm perfectly fine with it. I subscribe to that. If you don't want it to happen, don't let them win.
Yeah, but there is also the idea of sportsmanship supposed to exist. You don't get to complain about a team singing their fight song after a win in a corner and then get to pull some childish bullshit like that next time. You don't get to do it. It's just not acceptable. You don't get to cry wolf and then be sitting back there and be the wolf. You don't get to do that. You can't have your cake and eat it too, and that seems like Baker Mayfield wants to do. If it was at home, don't care. Your fans can rush the field, whatever you want to do. But you don't go into somebody, take the win, take where you've been, celebrate in the locker room, do whatever you have to do, but you don't walk into another field and do like that. You just don't.
I don't think, even if it were against Penn State, if Ohio State decided they wanted to come out...
Let me stop you right there, because Ohio State has a respect level enough for other opponents that they wouldn't do that. So we're going to stop it right there. That's the difference between the Big Ten and the Big 12. Right there. That act that he did is the difference in the level that we're talking about. And when it comes to sportsmanship and where teams truly are at heart. This is why no one takes Big 12 seriously.
If this were more of a rivalry, if this were Michigan State, would that be different? Because
Michigan and Michigan State would not have the audacity to pull such a petty move at the end of the game. They wouldn't. It just wouldn't happen. You would not see it happen. It would not happen.
I remember, how long ago was it? Probably about 8 years ago now. Virginia versus Virginia Tech. Just before the teams arrived to the field, they found that some of the players at the Virginia campus had come and sprayed the T for the Virginia Tech next to the V's for Virginia. Now, those are two ACC teams. Do you see that as... I see that as worse because you didn't earn it. You didn't beat them yet. So, regardless of the disrespect level and what, you're...
About, let me cut you off, but what about any high school team that goes and spray paints the
rock?
School?
Yeah, that happens to our school all the time.
Yeah, if you went to Gloversville.
I'm perfectly fine with that. As long as A, it's not violent, and B, it doesn't cause serious damage. So, like I said, if USC, beats Penn State at Penn State and they want their horse to just come out and poop on the 50-yard line, I don't care. It's not, I don't take it as disrespectful. I think it's, you beat us, you earned it. The problem that I had with the Virginia Tech example is Virginia Tech hadn't beaten them yet. Virginia Tech, that was preemptive. And that, I feel, is more disrespectful because you didn't earn it.
Well, of course, but that's preemptive because there's nothing that happened. You went out in there and you did that to be malicious about it before the fact. Baker Mayfield's move is understandable, more so than that, but it's still petty and it's still unsportsman. That's just the fact of the matter. Again, you can't sit there and cry and complain that it happened to you and then you turn around and do something that's more offensive. You can't have it both ways. That's my biggest problem in here. You can't complain and then do something worse. You don't get to play both sides of the fence.
No, that's understandable.
And if he really meant that offended him and pissed him off when Ohio State did it, then he should have known better. Then he should have been the mature one to be able to do this if this is his level of maturity that he wants to talk about. So I have nothing I have no respect. I respect his game. I have no respect for Baker Mayfield, the person.